Joining us now is a man who holds all the cards ahead of tonight's national draft, and it's Adelaide's national recruiting manager, Hamish Ogilvie. Hamish, thanks for coming on NAB AFL Draft Countdown.
Hello, Riley. Happy to come on your show, even though Mitch is not happy to come to my press conference last week. But anyway, I'm happy to come on for you, blokes.
Where were you, Mitch?
Well, I got a late text, but I tried to make time, Hamish, and just couldn't squeeze it in. But thanks for giving up some time today.
That's okay, Mitch. You still holding it against me for not bidding on Green last year.
Fisher Mackey's showing very good signs, Hamish, so I'll give you that one.
Hello, boys.
Hey,
Good, thank you.
I guess you got pick one. Let's cut to the chase.
tell us.
What are you doing? Who are you picking?
Vontae Mack.
Well, another one of your recruiters actually tweeted something about that today.
Did he? I'm supposed to not be on social media. But no, Vontae Mack at all costs.
At all costs, no matter what. So tell us, though, what's been the process going into pick one, and when did you decide in your heart of hearts that you knew who you were taking?
Well, we decided as a group. Doesn't matter what my heart wants, Cal. We do it as a group. So we decided the order last Friday, and we presented to list management the strategy yesterday. So, yeah, as a group, we decided we'd finished all the work, other than a few little medical bits and pieces that we thought would be okay. I shouldn't downplay medical, and it's been tough having to wait as long as we did to get it all. But, yeah, so we decided last Friday.
What was the process before that? And you're obviously not letting the player know about which way you've gone. So did it come down to Thilthorpe versus McDonald?
I'm not going to tell you that, Cal. It was a very detailed and stringent process. I went in thinking, surely, if you've got pick one or two, it must be a bit easier. But the more information we get, the better we get at doing it. The more the other guys bring to the table, the more thorough you become. So we twisted and turned every little bit of information we could to come to where we were, and legitimate. There were 4 in the running for most of the way. So we came to that conclusion last Friday, and don't ask me any more questions about it because I'm not going to tell you.
I'll ask you one more. What about Jamari Ugelhagen? Will you be placing the bid at the top pick?
We'll seriously consider placing a bid, Cal.
Okay.
So we could sit around and probably argue 4 reasons why you should, 4 reasons why you shouldn't. There's a lot to consider. We have information that you guys and the public aren't privy to that we need to consider, and I'm not going to tell you what that is, but might come out later post-draft. So there's some real detail into the decision. We need to consider a lot of different factors.
Hamish, when it comes to Riley Thilthorpe, I know you're not going to tell us if he's going to be in Crows colours by tonight, but are you picking up a ruckman, a forward, or even, as he suggested earlier, a midfielder?
Did he suggest he's a midfielder?
Well, that's what he wants to be, yeah.
Might have to mark him down after that. That's like talls that want to play on the wing. I'm never really keen on 200 centimetre blokes that want to play on the wing. Just play where you're supposed to play and do your job. Look, he's had a good year. So has Logan. Will Phillips would have had a great year, and he had a very good year last year. And Elijah is the only bloke off an ACL that's never missed a game. So each of the 4 have legitimate cases.
When it comes to your pick 9, we spoke to Adrian Caruso yesterday from the Giants, and he said he was actively watching to see what Essendon did with 6, 7 and 8. Did you read much into their whiteboard gaff, as we're calling it, yesterday?
No,
And
not a bit. No, not a bit. Not a bit at all. No, but they do shape the draft, so we're all in their hands a little bit to see how things go. So, look, you'd like to think you had a good idea of what Adrian was going to do and Rob, but no, we don't. So we'll just have to wait and see which way it falls. But they certainly control sort of the top 25 of the draft. Depending on what they do, everyone else is going to have to react to that, and whether they take their free picks or trade one. Don't know the answer to that, but that'll be interesting too.
What about your trading tonight, Hamish? Is there any chance you try and move a bit higher up the order with 22 and 23, or potentially into future drafts with those picks?
Yeah, definitely still a chance. The boys have had some discussions this morning, so it's a bit like you dance with 100 girls to kiss one. But Yeah, we're still having some talks. So there's a few plans up there on the board. We're open to go up, we're open to go back, and we're certainly open to get into the future. We like next year's draft as well. So we've looked at some scenarios. That I thought it might have actually gone a bit quiet and people might have held, but no, there's a bit going on this morning in regards to that.
What about with pick 1? Was it ever on the table? Were there any concrete bids that you genuinely considered to move pick 1, or were you always pretty settled there?
Some people ask questions and they probably come in a little bit low, and then we come in really, really high. You know, at a pick at that level, you've got to get something unbelievable and outstanding to swap it. But we had a couple of discussions, but never really got close to getting to the line.
How's the rehearsal on the whole, Hamish? Have you just ensured that the Zoom connection is strong and you know you're right at the top, because people are going to be waiting to see what you're doing?
As Ross Lyon used to say, let the cobblers cobble. So the IT guys and the people who are way smarter with that stuff than me are in control of that, and they keep me well away from it. So it went well last night. There was only a couple of little staggers in the system, but it all seems to be working well and moving along pretty nicely. But I don't get involved in too much of that. So I know the AFL have got contingencies if something breaks down. Touch wood, it doesn't. And we've got our psych actually over at the Arc, so we put the smartest person over there.
Hey, what sort of stage of your rebound and rebuild do you think you're at after this year's draft? So 2018, you pick up 2 first-rounders there, Chase Jones and then McHenry. Last year, Fisher Mackesy clearly made that deal to add in an extra pick in the top end of this year's group. You really made a proactive approach, I guess, during last year's trade period to move out some players and stock up on picks. So after this year, where do you think you are in I guess, the time frame?
Yeah, good question, Cal. So that's now 3, what we hope are pretty good drafts. We're very confident. We've got some great kids there that played pretty well, but they're all going to come along and grow nicely. So that's 3 drafts. I think we go to next year's draft as heavily as we can, and that'll be 4. Then we'll probably have a large percentage of our draft under sort of 24, 25, of our list under 24, 25, and then perhaps we can look to the free agent market and trading a bit more after that. So I think we go to 1 more, get this one right tonight, and we'll be in a good position and try and rebound as quick as we can. So, yep, there's a clear plan there. The boys that we brought in last year have done really well, going along nicely. Just haven't seen Josh Worrell yet, but he's back in training and looks good. So there's another one we've sort of got up our sleeve that some people won't have seen yet. And, you know, it doesn't happen overnight, and the young blokes take a bit of time and talls take a little bit longer, as we all know. So there's been some good progression, and Schoenberg showed a bit last year, and Scholes looks like a beauty, you know, from a pick in the 60s. So we're starting to get a good bunch of kids that get on really well together. Young men, I shouldn't say kids. Great young men that are growing together and enjoying each other's company. And, you know, the fact that they couldn't go overseas, etc., and they've spent so much time this year and this summer together has been really good. And they've already done a heap of training together. So hopefully they can flourish and grow quickly, and we can get back up the ladder quickly.
Hamish, this isn't necessarily a question that's related specifically to pick 1 and Riley Thilthorpe, but how much does the South Australian factor come into your decision-making, even later with pick 9, potentially with Tom Powell and Luke Pedler and Caleb Poulter, South Australian mids that might be coming through at that range? How much does that come into your thinking in these decisions?
It always comes into it. You know, like if the gap's not very close later in the draft, or you're trying to balance your list out, it comes into it. But we've had good success with South Australians. We've had good success with Victorians. You know, Dave McKay's from Trinity, and he's still in Adelaide 15 years later. So, you know, Richard Douglas was there 12 or 13 years. Sloaney's been there for ages. So it comes into it. It's not the be-all and end-all, but it's another thing that helps separate players.
Hamish, looking at Cal's Phantom draft, he's got you guys bidding on Reef McInnes, which usually suggests you've got some interest in him. How much...
That'd be right then if Cal said it, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. How much of your view on Reef changed off the back of his testing?
Not a massive amount. The 270 was a fast track downhill with the wind, so standardised it might have been about a 290, but it was pretty impressive, and it was right in front of me where I was sitting. So, look, we knew where he was at. We knew he could play forward and back really well, and we think he's a December-born kid. He can play midfield as well. And there were some really good signs in the 17-year-old game where he played midfield. So the testing came into as a nice little bonus. He's got some work to do on his endurance, but for us, he sits right in that middle patch there. with some very similar players to him. So there's a really good group of players sort of in that, 8 through to 15, 17 bracket, and he'd be in there.
Well, Hamish, you've kept us all guessing until, 5.5 hours out from the draft. So, firstly, congratulations on not giving anything away, because you've done a great job. Normally, Cal manages to find out somehow, and
We'll see.
We'll see if he figures it out this year. But thank you so much, and good luck tonight.
Thanks, boys. See ya.
Hamish Ogilvie there, the man that holds pick number 1 at tonight's NAB AFL draft.